They called him a racist. I don't believe he is a racist, if you want to know the truth, but they called him a racist. It was a miserable campaign. He did very poorly, and they're bringing him out again. He's being wheeled out, and we're going to see what happens. But frankly, he did very, very poorly. He was not good for her, and obviously she lost to Obama, and that was the end of that. But they brought him out before.
Donald Trump earlier on the Today Show stepping up his attacks on the Clintons, but will it work? Let's bring in our panel. Joining us, columnist for the Fiscal Times, Liz Peek. Joining us from Skype from New York City. Also joining us, Democratic strategist and host of Making Sense with Steve Lester. It is Steve Lester. He's also in New York. Joining us from the Newsmax New York studios. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Joe.
All right, you got it. Liz, some polls have Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in a dead heat. Do you think that attacking Bill Clinton is an effective strategy for him?
I don't think that's an effective strategy, but I think her bringing Bill out onto the campaign trail opens up an absolute Pandora's box of past issues, scandals, etc. I think it's a very risky strategy for Hillary, but I think she has to do it because in early October, there was some polling that showed that black voters were moving away from Hillary. In 3 months, she'd lost 31 points in polling amongst black voters. And I think it's extremely important that she re-energize that voting bloc. She's not going to win unless Hispanics and blacks turn out, which is really the bigger question here. They're not going to vote for Republicans. The question is whether they vote at all. And Bill Clinton is and has always been very popular with black voters. So I think it's part of a multi-pronged approach that she's taken. She made that announcement soon after that poll was taken, and I think the two are connected.
It's a very interesting poll. It's very interesting thoughts that Liz just said. Steve, I'm wondering, President Clinton was called the first black president before we had the first black president. His support from the black community as much as, well, just about as much as Obama had. Is it an effective strategy to get him out there in the stump now, knowing that minorities might be going away from his wife?
No question about it. And I disagree with Liz about what she said about him being a risky strategy. I mean, we could talk about that if it was a general election. In the Democratic nomination, very few people are as popular and as motivating as Bill Clinton is. He did a great job getting out the vote for Barack Obama against Mitt Romney, and bringing him out now in the last 4 to 5 weeks before Iowa and 6 to 8 weeks before Super Tuesday, I think is just the right time. As long as he concentrates on making the case for Hillary, he should ignore Bernie Sanders. I think he's going to do a great job getting out the vote for her.
Liz, it looks like more of Hillary Clinton's emails from that private server will be released, New Year's Eve, while we're all partying and not paying attention to the news. How is that going to impact the race going into 2016?
I don't think it will. We don't know because we don't know what's contained in those emails. But the truth is, it's pretty fortuitous timing for her. But look, there's always something to talk about with Hillary Clinton. And when the Republicans stop shooting at each other and decide to really focus on Hillary, there's going to be a lot to talk about. I think it's true that Bill is helpful amongst Democrat primary voters. Hillary doesn't need that. I mean, she's doing fine with primary voters. She's going to win the nomination. There's really no question about that. But I think we're getting close enough to that decision that it's going to have an impact on the general election. And I would just say in terms of Bill being important to Hillary, the problem is she is already touting his economic policies, which are remembered with a sort of fond afterglow. Yeah. But the truth is those policies were welfare reform and NAFTA, both very complicated issues for Mrs. Clinton on the stump.
All right, so Steve, we've got to switch gears here. President Obama now changing his mind about deporting some illegal immigrants. First, if you didn't do any crime, a real criminal act, you could stay here. You could compete with American workers. Suddenly, there's a deportation crackdown. Donald Trump is taking credit for that. How does that affect the running of Hillary Clinton or even of Bernie Sanders, knowing that President Obama is sounding a little more Republican when it comes to the border?
Well, as much as I love President Obama, one of the dirty secrets about his administration so far is he's actually, by my calculations, deported more Hispanic undocumented immigrants than George W. Bush did. The administration has always claimed that they're, just trying to obey the law, and they've been claiming that this is the reason why we need comprehensive immigration reform. I think this is the way Democrats have to talk about this issue. I think there is some open for criticism there on the part of the Obama administration that they're not doing something more to fix this. But But this is not something that Democrats necessarily have to run away from. This is the reason why we need comprehensive immigration reform. I agree with Republicans, by the way, Joe, that we actually need to strengthen the border. And I know that's surprising coming from a Democrat. But if you don't have a strong border, if you can't control the people who are coming in, you can't enforce any kind of policy that you have about the type of folks coming into your country.
Right.
You know, it's something that has been going on for a while now. It's not something that's as a result of anything that Trump said.
All right, Liz, Steve, we appreciate your time. Thank you both from New York. Stay warm up there. We thank you for your comments, by the way. And if you want to weigh in, you've got several ways to do so. Send your comments in to newsmaxtv.com/comments. You could also send your comments via email, Facebook, and Twitter. We've got much more to come. You stay right here on Newsmax Prime.